You're watching this week's show with Dan and Mike.
This week's show. I'm Dan and, well, I'm not sure where Mike is. Meant to be here.
Sorry mate, I was at school, I was at Punk Rock 101.
And also I think that's kind of payback for the years where we had a live radio show and you never knew if I was going to turn up by the first link.
It was touch and go sometimes.
Yeah, super professional over here.
But Punk Rock 101 leads us on to this week's podcast.
Yes, because
Deep dive time.
this is a little memento given to us by the press team of bowling for soup, because at that point Jared was doing his utter lack of prep that he was telling us about in the interview.
Which you can find on streaming services or Mixcloud.
Yep. And so yeah, we thought that we would explain why we fanboy, why we gush, and why Jaret is actually probably one of the closest friends of the show, I'd say.
We've definitely interviewed, he's up there in the top 5 people we've interviewed the most in 18 years.
Wait.
It's not the top, because that obviously goes to Lee Downer.
Low Lives or The Defiled if you're old enough. Make sure you check out Lee Downer's work, it's absolutely awesome. Love that human being and everybody that he works with as well, especially Luke on drums. He's an absolutely awesome drummer.
She's a beast.
We have had quite a few career-defining moments with Jaret as well, particularly for me, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I remember interviewing them before we were even doing a radio show proper.
Like, not by James Rock Show when it was like the Rock Show on Phonic FM.
Yeah, something like that. Our local little tin pot radio station.
A lot of love for it.
Still going.
Yeah, I played to them. We just we couldn't record for like 2 years in COVID, so we just never went back.
We went independent.
And got 2 studios now. Like,
2.5, because we've got a mobile one as well, green screens and stuff.
Yeah. But no, you did that as one of, it was been, I imagine, one of your first proper band interviews.
Yeah, I got one question in because it was me and the guy called Chris Hines that you might remember.
Yeah.
Vegan activist now.
Yeah, check out Chris Hines' stuff. I don't think, as we say, Hit the Floor is really around anymore, but Chris Hines does some good work.
Yeah, he's a vegan activist.
Yes.
But yeah, we went to the Great Hall in Exeter when Bowling were playing, did an interview, and they had like, you know when you go to the beach and sometimes there's that huge board with a picture on you stick your head through?
Yeah.
It had that, but it was all of the guys from Bowling
amazing
on the picture, so we could be like, so that just stood out as a memory from one of the first times.
Well, the big story, because if it wasn't for you, then it would have only ever been a hug and a selfie. But this was a good few years ago, and I had been...
You say a good few years ago, but it's actually about 9 or 10 years ago.
Right? So this is quite a while, and we had just, we were still doing Slam Dunk Mid, because Slam Dunk Festival in the UK now is just north and south. But for a while there was a Mid.
It was at the NEC, wasn't it?
But that's also where we did it in the streets of Wolverhampton, I believe.
Yes, but Bowling weren't on it.
That was the NEC. We've done quite a few cool interviews. It was the last time the show interviewed Don Broco was on that one as well.
Oh, the NEC?
Yeah.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long. Always say hey, but they don't do like that type of interview anymore because they are absolutely stunning on their social media presence.
Yes.
So they don't need to do interviews. Anyway, so leading up to this festival, I had done my usual thing of just scrolling stuff, and I saw this interesting thing about Jaret that he, for a friend of his, it wasn't like a big thing, he did this video where he talked a lot about depression. And at this point in time, having a big personality that can joke and smile and do all of this, people were still reluctant to see past that performance element to somebody that's struggling like underneath the surface.
It became quite apparent that Jaret was struggling with something. And
he'd come out and say something. So this was like, as I say, a month or so before the festival. So I see him come into the press area. And back then, I would go bother people a lot more. So I just went over to him and I was like, I'm really sorry to just disturb you right now, but I saw the video that you posted and really meant a lot to me. People that don't understand how I can present like we do, but also then be super shy, super insecure, all of that type of stuff, and I am racked with depression, probably because I haven't really slept since I was 12 years old. So the video really spoke to me, and so I got my selfie, got my hug. Jaret was really pleased. He said that he was having a hard day, and realising that he had like the effect on somebody around the world was great. So I come back and I say to Mike, and he's like, well, do you reckon you guys can talk about it on camera? So without even like a second's hesitation, you're just straight over.
I just went over and said, oh, that guy that just asked for a selfie and a hug, he's here actually interviewing bands. If you wouldn't mind having a quick chat on camera.
And then so we like sort of agreed it was going to be mental health, but what you actually see in that interview is two people that have never done an interview about mental health, both trying to find their feet.
Yeah, look, man.
Yeah, so
supporting each other.
Yeah, so that was, and for me, like, it was weird. In my hometown, I had people come up to me in the street and say that was an awesome interview and stuff like that, which genuinely never happens. Genuinely, technical difficulties there has made me lose my thread.
Well, that's where we can throw into the picture of you interviewing Jaret at that.
I mean, I think the audio is still good enough, because that was right when we were using like the last days of our old equipment. You can always tell because there's a Zoom Tascam in front of us, which is great at recording audio as long as you set it up on the right mode. Which is
very true.
And if you've been watching previous episodes, you can understand where the audio got dropped, because one button on that thing pressed at the wrong time and it completely reset the settings. Not the best. But yeah, no, the first one that we had with, I'm scratching my nose on camera. The first one that we had with him was amazing. Like I said, genuinely nobody would come up at LRAP, that's what I was. No, people would come up to me in the streets about that one, and that doesn't happen. Like, we post internet content, we're kind of well-known-ish for what we do, but nobody ever comes up and actually says that was an awesome interview in the street.
Not every day, no.
No. So, like, I was feeling quite inspired at the time to take this further. Booked and did another interview with Jaret, which has never seen the light of day, because about 2 weeks after I did the interview with him, had a laptop failure and the data corrupted, and the price of getting the data back was far too much for quite a long time.
But at least you managed to get it back, unlike the Sam for Five Finger Death Punch. See our last episode of that.
Yeah. There's some stuff that, and we've said that this deep dive is actually like a build towards something. We're waiting for Jaret's schedule to get quiet, and where he wants to do mental health stuff, because he finds it quite disruptive on tour. I mean, I would.
I would. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like an hour before you're going on stage.
And you've got to be like the performer energy.
Yeah, he's got to not do his warm-ups and
all that lack of preparation. So we've got this second part, which is now quite dated, but we talk about, it was about a year on from the first one, we talk about how both of us got heavily involved with mental health discussion after that point. I got the confidence just to be able to bring it up to people. Mike was doing the same thing, because he saw the value in it straight away. And it was kind of quite galvanising, because it wasn't like we ignored it that before, but it was never something that we would routinely bring up, and then it sort of became a regular thing to...
Yeah, I think the general zeitgeist of like people in general, it was becoming more apparent that we needed to talk about mental health, especially in gentlemen.
Yes. So that for years has been sort of just something that we do if it comes up, and if we, like with the COVID, if we know that the content has something like that in there as well, then we can give space for it in an interview, and hopefully not say the wrong thing, because
you even brought it up with Jesse Leach as well from Killswitch Engage. His new album. 2 thumbs up.
Not only that, but do you know what the legend Jesse Leach is? At that festival, there was somebody I knew that had to basically not attend, because I got sort of a very bad situation just completely dumped on them. And I knew that was the one big thing was Killswitch and Jesse and all of this. So I explained it very quickly to Mr. Jesse Leach, and without a second's hesitation, jumped on camera and recorded the most reassuring video that I could imagine. And sent it across.
And we were wearing pink.
I was not just wearing pink, I was wearing a pink t-shirt with white denim shorts on because I have no shame at Bloodstock whatsoever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's like some of the places that the old bowling stuff has led, isn't it? Because you've done some pretty epic ones as well, where you've like started chatting to people, and it became something that we talked about.
Mostly about mental health. It's you kind of approach the subject gently, I find, and then if the artist buys into what you're nudging them, then you kind of almost got free rein and go as far as you can to try and discuss what it is, because obviously we've just done the big interview with us two together, and someone that I know hadn't seen or heard of Bowling for Soup for the best part of a decade or so, I'd imagine, because they were just like, oh, they're still around,
It happens to people, you fall out of touch with things.
Well, not only that, like, if it's the same age as me, it's like, you are not going to be, those people the same age as me are married, well, on their second marriage, a third house, couple of kids and stepkids kind of thing. But they turn around to me and it's like, what's that with Jaret? He's got really big. It's like, that is depression. We've talked about it to him. It's like, because we didn't want to pry and just like, are you okay? It's like, but he brought it up first, and we were like, okay. So one of his coping mechanisms when he was really down was.
Not only that,
he said Cheetos or something, wasn't it?
Not only that, but my experience and a lot of what I've looked into is it's one of the things that, and this is not a criticism of antidepressant use, it's just something I think people need to be aware of, is your diet can be quite drastically affected by antidepressant use. Go into it with your eyes open, because they can be the most useful thing in the world.
Oh, they're brilliant. I've been sponsored by antidepressants for so long now. It's amazing. I wouldn't be me without them.
But you've found recently that you now know what your body does on them.
Yes.
So you've been able to actually make a lot of strides in your diet. We talked about that health-wise last time. And
I've lost some weight in the last 12 months.
I am now starting to do the same thing, since I know what's actually going on with my body, hence why I'm smiling a bit more as well. Like I said, physical health does actually make a balance to your mental health.
Does a little bit of cardio.
A little bit of, what they call it in the medical, don't have a sedentary lifestyle. If you try and do as little as possible, you will just feel physically rough. And then...
I just started off like cycling on a cycle machine at home, and when I got out of breath, I would stop. And now I'm not getting out of breath within a couple of minutes. It's a good couple more minutes, but each time you're gradually improving yourself. And I'm not doing it to win races or anything. I just want to stay healthy. I want to carry on doing my show, and especially now that everything is getting filmed, even when we're sat in the other studio on the radio. So the camera adds £10, so I lost a fair few stone.
I'm definitely not sitting up because I hated my posture in the last video.
But this is all discussions that all came out from having that first discussion with Jaret. It's like me and you really opened up to each other, like privately, on our mental health and well-being and whatnot. And
what we can do to change things.
It's all down to Bowling for Soup, but Bowling for Soup has been a big part of our lives before that, because they were like the soundtrack to our college. And I used to work at the university in Exeter, and I DJ'd there and did all like the alternative side of things, and it was always like, if it wasn't Bowling for Soup, it was Less Than Jake or Real Big Fish or Sponge,
or even like Limp Bizkit. And
not so much. I mean, like for the pop punk kind of stuff, like Simple Plan and 303 and bands like that were all on the soundtracks to every single film we were going to the cinema to watch, like The American Pies and...
Well, I remember that was my era of music channels. So for me, it was...
when MTV still played music? That's a lyric from a Bowling for Soup.
I think this was on The Box. But the reason I said Limp Bizkit is because the ones I would sit and wait to come on were things like Falling for Soup, Girl All the Bad Guys One,
That's the one.
The Offspring, Want
Yeah.
You Bad, or like Original
Sum
Prankster.
41.
All of that sort of stuff were the music videos, and then that was where things like Kerrang TV and Scuzz TV came from, because then they realised that people liked alternative music so much, and then those TV channels unfortunately have gone, but their legacy is actually over. The people that did stuff like Scuzz and Kerrang TV are now people responsible for other outlets that you're probably following if you're into rock and metal, which is kind of cool.
Well, I think it was kind of the internet that brought those channels down, because whereas a channel like Scuzz would have to cover everything. If you weren't into Dimmu Borgir or whoever, then you'd have to wait for your one favourite kind of style of music in an hour of tunes kind of thing, whereas the internet, you can just go in and go Bowling for Soup, and every Bowling for Soup video is there.
You can tailor your experience to whatever you want.
Yeah. It becomes your own thing, but back then it was all I would almost say it's like from saying like 97, 98 to about 2002, 2004, something like that, was almost like a golden age of college rock, but it was like a new era of college rock, because it was bits of pop punk, bits of emo, bits of sort of new metal was in there, and it's what's big with the kids now, because it's heritage music. For us it was like our coming of age tunes.
I mean, shout out to you've actually picked up on something which is literally their press campaign, and I genuinely love what these guys do. It is always funny to watch the silly stuff that they come up with. But South Arcade, they've been banging on about those guys for about a year or so now. They've got a track called 2005. They're not like, that's probably their birth year, rather than the fact that they lived through it. Sorry guys, you're young compared to me. But what I love is that they've started like doing things like putting their poster in the background of really famous scenes from 2005, and then just the bio going, it's still canon, don't worry about it. And it's just brilliant, because you're right, there was this pop punk, like people talk about the new metal being around the 2000s, but pop punk was also a huge part of that.
Yeah,
with
we
people
had, like Bowling and Sum 41 that were crossing over between.
Wheatus at that point were also, but they're not quite pop punk as much as like college pop or something like that. I'm not really sure what to call them, because they're
college rock,
but they're quite unique. Everybody, like I've never met a person that doesn't know that I've got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby. Everybody knows that song. They
do. We saw it live. Actually, our friend John Mahon serenaded me whilst they played it on the stage. I was stood on the side of the stage the other day, and it was just bless you.
And check out your reel, actually, because you got one on the OLAT Mike James on Instagram thing. So come check out what from like literally dressing room to side of stage to be serenaded by the tour DJ. That's what this man did.
It was.
You can find links to our personal social media. We post, largely you will get pictures of my cat or the beach I take my students to.
It is mostly, cats for me as well. Cats, the radio show, and just the obscene amount of beautiful nature we have in our county.
It's good things to post. We collab on every reel as well, so you can come find us that way if you don't find Mike James Rock Show as interesting as my cat, or his cat, because we both got cats with cats.
Yes.
So just to round out what we're planning to do next, like I say, we've already been in chats with Jaret when we were on tour, and he wants to give us a proper slice of time. I think we're going to get quite a long...
It's going to be a proper
sit down. And
I'm
going to do the opposite to what I normally do for interviews, because I want to cover so much in this one. I'm actually going to come with a couple of bullet points I want to work through.
Notes?
I haven't done notes in years, because I can normally hold it in my head. But there's such like poignant stuff that we've covered, and there's like the stories that we've had from people, and like he's another one that at Slam Dunk last year did a couple of videos for people that we know, and just immediately did like the best videos in the world. So we want to sit down, and that will probably I think take over, if we're doing a proper podcasty length interview. We'll probably just, when we get it from him, which is the next couple of months, We'll just do an intro and then probably put the full thing up as the weekly episode, because we'll do highlights for the radio show by James Rockshire on all streaming platforms. But then the full thing I think we'll probably dump on this channel.
There you go, a work in progress.
Not only that, but we are also quite close to getting V2 started. That is on me, but I'm catching up. This man has got good tools to suggest to me, I like it. So my point being is keep tuned. We have, I think, the prank that you prepared for that didn't happen on this show ready to go.
I might have something up my sleeve.
And if not, then we hand over the prank challenge to our manager, which is always a dangerous thing, because...
That squeal says enough, really.
Yeah, last week we had a meow as we were saying goodbye, and this time we had a manic cackle of our manager.
Anyhow, I've got to go because obviously I've just come from school, but...
Gotta go do your homework.
No, Stacey's mum's really got it going on.
See you next time. Thank you for watching our deep dive on Bowling for Soup. Probably, as we said, not the last one. And apologies for all of those that realise this episode is a little bit late. Sometimes life can get in the way. That's why we talk about mental health so much, is if you've made it to this point in the video, you know that we talk about that stuff a lot, even in this deep dive. And there was a little bit of real life that got in the way of launching this week, so thank you all for being very patient. Make sure that you tune in next week.